The bow was used in warfare since ancient times, so why did they become such a game changer when used by the English? The first thing, the employment of the bow in unique, different, or exceptional ways that they became a game changer on the battlefield didn't only happen with the English. There are examples of other cultures employing archery in really interesting ways that gave them a very significant advantage in warfare. Sometimes the bow's significance is exaggerated too much. Yes, the longbow was very important, say in Agincourt, but most of the French were actually defeated by the men-at-arms and archers attacking directly in melee after the arrow fire. But still, the medieval English had their reputation for a reason. So, why? I believe the Welsh, and then the English, who kind of picked it up from the Welsh, pushed the men in their armies to collectively shoot higher draw weights. What does that mean, collectively? I'm sure in many armies throughout the past you had the occasional man who could shoot extreme draw weights, but would that have been truly representative of the whole? You see, to get a large group of men able to shoot at 120 to 160 pounds draw weight, you need archery to become a cultural thing, to the point that the men would train and practice as part of their common day life, because it literally takes years of training to build up the strength to shoot bows in these draw weights. And we see this in the more later period of the medieval English. They were told to stop doing vain sports like football and do something truly respectable, like archery. They were encouraged to practice every Sunday. It even became a law in some instances, and as a result they were able to train a large group of men who could shoot much higher powered bows and shoot them well. Regardless of the type of bow, what seems to be the more difficult thing is training the men, and unless you have a culture of archery like the English and say the Mongols did, you would not have an army that could collectively shoot at the longer ranges and highest power. The successful way in which the English were able to employ archery in warfare wasn't necessarily thanks to the bow, even though the bow helped facilitate this. It was more due to the fact that they had a large group of men who could collectively shoot in these higher draw weights. That's the more difficult thing to achieve. You could have given the English archers high-powered, short recurve bows, and they would have been just as effective and successful. In fact, they might have even been a little bit more successful due to the inherent disadvantages that do exist with the longbow. But of course, to train the men to shoot the higher draw weights, you do need the physical bows for them to practice with and then use in battle. This is what type of bow they are using becomes very important. And you can check out the full video on Shadowversity. There is a link embedded in this short. Hope to see you there, and thanks for watching.